Hey, NewsNation's Chris Cuomo here. Now, on our show, I've made a commitment to you that we're going to give you the stories that matter. We're going to give it to you straight. We're also going to stay on those stories because that is rare in this business. It's rare in this world. That's where this podcast comes in. Let's get after it. There's so much noise going on about what yesterday meant. And I really believe the reality is getting lost in all of this excitement. The game is afoot. Headlines are blaring. Lights and sirens are going. The special counsel said the secret out loud. Biden confirmed it with his poor play at the podium. That's the story, right? It's not about if, but when Biden is done. Really? Here's what I know, okay? Talk about Super Bowl betting. I'll bet anything on this, at least for now. Things can change. Right now, there are no plans at the party level to make a move on Biden. Biden has no plans to make a move on himself. And there are no plans to make plans. Not so exciting, right? Much better to kind of just tease that maybe he's out because some say, and I have an anonymous source, but that's all BS. I know I'm right, at least for now. Don't get played. See the game. At this point, for me to be wrong, this isn't going to happen like an announcement like that. It would have to be at the convention. You'd have to have a lot of lead time. You'd have to get people on board, starting with Biden. Even if it were his idea, you'd have to broker the convention. You'd have to figure out how to get the ballots locked in, how to get the infrastructure in place, see how much time you would have to even make a case to the American people. It would be next to impossible to pull off. But if you're waiting for a podium call that's going to change the state of our political reality, give it up. It ain't going to happen. I know everybody wants you to believe it will, because that gets you watching and clicking, but it's BS. I know everybody's talking about it. That's the game. And here at NewsNation, we expose the game. So here's what's happening. It's not being told you this way, but this is what it is. Forget that Biden confused Mexico and Egypt. That's a gaffe, okay? Trump makes them, I make them, you make, everybody makes them. Focus on the special counsel confusing his job as a prosecutor for being a psychologist. Yesterday, you saw some of the most obvious proof that poison politics has infected the heart of our democracy, justice. It's not the first time. We had 2 impeachments of Trump. Sure, that is politics, okay? It was a political mechanism, but it was still prosecutions, even when they knew they had 0 chance of removal. So what was the point? Advantage for one side over the other, because it wasn't an advantage for you. The Mueller probe, taking forever, promising so much, delivering so little. The GOP, in my opinion, claiming high ground at the time, calling out the mistake of prosecuting opponents. But that's not what we should be about. But what did they do as soon as they had the numbers after the last midterm elections? They went down the same road, threatening to impeach Biden, countless hours of investigating his son and his finances, now going after the Secretary of Homeland Security and impeaching him instead of attacking the border by finding solutions. Why? Because of advantage, because of the game. If you needed a metaphor for the game, choosing party advantage over advancing your interests, which more do you need to see than what's happening right now? How about Jack Smith? Special counsel going after Trump, pushing to have prosecutions of the former president moved to before the election. Since when does a prosecutor worry about political timing of their case? I'll tell you when, since politics became part of the prosecution calculus. Just like Comey taking it on his own to make his witness, crisis of conscience, and disrupting Hillary Clinton's run. The prosecutor had no place in politics. And of course, we're seeing it right now with this guy, the latest headline seeker, special counsel Hur, Trump appointee, can't make the case against Biden for criminally retaining classified materials. You know what usually happens? Nothing else. Bye. Usually it's in a release. Maybe they do a presser, but that's it. It's over. I can't make the case. But then he goes a huge step farther, offering an opinion about the disposition and competency of the President of the United States, a man whom he's already said he can't successfully prosecute. Have you ever heard of that before? Me neither. and how he did it, invoking Biden's dead son. How could Biden not respond? That's why you saw him last night. He wanted you to hear this.
There's even reference that I don't remember when my son died. How in the hell dare he raise that? Frankly, when I was asked the question, I thought to myself, it wasn't any of their damn business.
It doesn't matter if you like him or not. You know we're witnessing the death of decency, and nothing can get better once that's gone. Father doesn't remember when his son died. Come on. If you look at the document, it's about page 208. You can see that what they're talking about could easily be construed as Biden not liking the line of questioning. Just as easily as it was a point of fact that he wasn't remembering when his son died. And yet the special counsel gives no benefit to that context. Why not? Politics. This is the game. Now, is all lost? Hell no. We are still stronger than the ambitions of the few. The Supreme Court gave us a whisper of hope. The liberal justices pushing back on the argument that Trump should be disqualified by an arcane aspect of the Constitution that was clearly and specifically designed to deal with the aftermath of the Civil War. The justices made the point that they shouldn't have to make. The democracy is supposed to be driven by you deciding elections, not using the law to take down the other side. Beat them at the polls, okay? Not at the bench. The battle of attrition has led to a do-nothing Congress. Literally, opposition is a sales proposition. Elect me, I'll do nothing. Instead, saving problems for campaigns instead of solving them. Senator McConnell may be on his way out of being himself, as well as Biden and Trump and every other old person. Maybe infirm, but he was still able to confirm the toxicity of the game. He said it out loud. Sorry, got to back away from the deal. The politics have changed. It is better to leave this problem to the candidate to campaign on rather than fixing it. Disgusting, right? But on that bill, you're only getting part of the story. Yes, as I just mentioned, the Republicans are playing the game. Instead of addressing a serious need for improvement at the border that the security agents are asking for, they backed away. But here's a question for you. Was there really a deal? Langford, Oklahoma, Sinema, Arizona. They're outliers. There were only a couple of them. Was there a real bipartisan Senate bill? I don't know. If that was really the aim, where are the other voices? And why didn't they include the House in any negotiations? And now you got to look at the other side of the ball, too. The Democrats got a good win here, right? Or if you think about it, right? Oh, look at them. Look how obvious and ugly what they did is. But I'm suspicious. Why did the Democrats wait until now to try to do a deal? Oh, they've been trying all along, have they? I'd question that assumption. Do you really believe there's no aspect of this that is a clever move by a clever guy, Chuck Schumer, to provide cover for Biden on the issue that absolutely could beat him? It checks like every box of domestic policy. Economics, national security, fentanyl, the cartels, who we are, what we value, for respect for law, process. And yes, the Republicans played into their hands and helped the Democrats make a good move, but think about it. Why would the Democrats include Ukraine in this bill if they really wanted it to pass? True, you get fewer at-bats these days. You got to force more stuff in it. Okay. But because we know that opposition is a legitimate position, you can literally win a race by promising to do nothing except stop the other side. They had to know that Ukraine would be seen or serve as a poison pill, right? It's a controversial subject on the right for good and bad reason. And the amount of money that it was allocated was like an in-your-face, right? It was so much more for Ukraine than for the border. They had to know that it would spark blowback. Leads to another question. If the Democrats were really serious about this bill as more than a stunt, why is there nothing in it about the Dreamers? the legitimate Americans, the dreamers, what all of us agree on when it comes to immigration, that these people should be done right by. What Democrat thinks they could vote for a bill on immigration that doesn't include the dreamers and not get destroyed by their left flank? By the way, notice how quiet the left flank was about their enthusiasm for this bill? Were they even involved? So if they really wanted to pass the bill, if they really thought that this was going to happen, why isn't it even in there, the dreamers? Oh, accommodation. We had to compromise. On the dreamers, the thing that they have said matters most to them all along, why wouldn't they put in the dreamers and not put in Ukraine? Which is what's going to happen anyway. You know that, right? You know Ukraine's coming out of that bill, right? And Israel probably is too. And then Israel may come out of the Ukraine bill and Ukraine will be standalone. It's all about party and advantage over people like you and your interests. See the game. It's all around us. And that's why the parties are willing to work together on only one goal, keeping things exactly the way they are. Who is open to alternatives to this current political system? Closed primaries, party control of the elections, either directly or through state officials that are all paying fealty to the parties. Less and less debate, less and less competition, fewer and fewer battles of ideas. These are all attributes of a system that only benefit those already in power in their established places, in the establishment culture. More proof? The DNC going after Bobby Kennedy's campaign. I don't care if you vote for Bobby or not. He's got his own problems politically. The stated reason is because the DNC says, well, a PAC for Bobby is coordinating directly with the campaign. You can't do that. Please. They are finding ways to get around that in campaigns all the time, big and small. So why are they doing it? Because the Democrats don't want any competition for the incumbent Joe Biden. Parties don't like an incumbent being challenged. The GOP didn't have anybody chasing Trump last time around. But who does that benefit? Except them, right? And if this current election cycle doesn't scream for the need to change the status quo, the norms, and open up the system to get more people involved, and then Trump didn't even have to participate. And the GOP is doing the same thing with Nikki Haley. Trump doesn't have to participate. They're asking her to drop out, even though she is much more competitive with Biden than Trump in polls. Why? Why do you want her out? What happened to letting the voters decide? See the game. The election to this point has had so little to do with making your life better and so much to do with keeping you afraid to do anything but make a grudging decision to back the lesser of two evils, a proposition you apply nowhere else in your life. Never. Which guy's going to fix the roof? Boy, they both stink. I guess I'll go with the less stinky one. Who am I going to date? The less ugly one. Only in our politics do we cheapen ourselves like this? And it only benefits them. The country doesn't like the two presumptive candidates. Only the parties do. This is Chris Cuomo. Get my podcast, Let's Get After It, at newsnationnow.com or wherever you get podcasts.